Hello and welcome to Mechanical Y. In a few days, China's Tiangong-1 space station is going to experience an uncontrolled re-entry into Earth's atmosphere. In other words, it's going to crash. The size of this particular satellite and its somewhat unpredictable landing location have caused some concerns with people. And this raises a good question. How dangerous is it when man-made satellite crashes through the atmosphere uncontrolled? The short answer is, it's not really dangerous at all. While people may recall large pieces of Skylab crashing to Earth, and debris from the Space Shuttle Columbia disaster surviving re-entry, satellites re-enter Earth's atmosphere on a somewhat regular basis. So the uncontrolled re-entry of the Tiangong-1 space station is not really an unusual occurrence. And while it is relatively large for a man-made satellite, it is not that big, being roughly the size of a school bus. The surface of the Earth is very large, meaning that it is incredibly unlikely that anyone will actually be hit by any of these pieces. Furthermore, the construction of Tiangong-1, as well as most other satellites in orbit, is fairly flimsy. They are made of thin sheets of metal and utilize large amounts of aluminum. This is necessary as it is very expensive to launch a particular mass to orbit, so these objects must be as light as possible. This type of construction will most likely be destroyed during re-entry, producing tiny fragments that have very little energy and pose no real danger. Nevertheless, there are components that may survive re-entry. Tight cable harnesses, insulated components, non-metal components, and interior components may be shielded long enough during the descent to survive. In particular, thrusters and engine components can withstand the punishments of crashing through the atmosphere at high speed. These components tend to have thicker geometry, are made of tougher material, and are by necessity more robust to handle the high temperatures and pressures of firing. Virtually all man-made satellites have some type of thruster since they are necessary for positioning and rotating the satellite. However, these are still quite small, with some fitting into the palm of your hand. So while these may withstand re-entry, they are too small to cause any real concern. But there is another type of component, however, that is related to thrusters that poses a danger during a crash. And it's not because it can hit someone, but rather what it can do once it lands. Most small thrusters use a particular type of propellant combination. In many cases, they use fuels that fall into the hydrazine family. These include hydrazine, monomethylhydrazine, also known as MMH, unsymmetrical dimethylhydrazine, also known as UDMH, and Aerozine 50, which is an equal mix of hydrazine and UDMH. And these are typically combusted with nitrous oxide as an oxidizer. All of these chemicals are highly toxic and dangerous. But if they're so dangerous, why are they used in the first place? First, they fall into a class of propellants known as storables. Storable propellants, as the name suggests, can be stored very long periods of time without boiling off or degrading. This is not true with propellants like liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen. This is important since it is impossible to refuel a satellite once it is in orbit. Secondly, these propellants are what are called hypergolic. Hypergolic means that these propellants immediately ignite and burn when they come into contact with each other. There is no required source of ignition. This means that a thruster can be fired quickly by simply opening a valve. That makes these propellants and their corresponding thrusters very reliable. However, they tend to be stored in small, spherical, typically titanium tanks, and these tanks can survive re-entry, meaning that the residual propellants can survive to make it to the Earth where they could potentially cause health problems. This is why if a space agency knows a particular satellite will fall from orbit, they fire all thrusters to try to consume as much of these propellants as possible, such that virtually none of it will reach the Earth after re-entry. In the end, satellites falling from Earth pose no serious danger to people. While it isn't 100% safe, the risk of anyone getting hurt is almost zero. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this interesting. If you did, please like and share this video, and please subscribe to stay up to date on new content. Also, please visit us at our website, www.mechanical-y.com.